Well, we're recording.
Oh, we're recording?
Yeah, you said you were ready.
I did say I was ready.
Welcome to the first meeting of the slanted table. I'm not sure if the people at home can tell, and they probably could if we had something. Actually, Jason,
they need some relative
it's out of
measurement.
shot. Could you bring it in shot?
This guy.
No, the snus.
Yeah.
Give it to Yanko.
Okay.
Yanko, if you could put it on its edge and roll and just place it facing this direction. The table is much
there's some weight in there though, you know. Like,
oh, okay. So
you know
it's
what I
not.
mean? Like the weight's going to the bottom and slowing
fair
it down,
enough.
but it is.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good enough
Yeah,
illustration.
but that could also people could argue inertia.
Man, Bill Nye had the easiest job. I mean, that just doing things like that. Bill Nye the Science Guy. You probably didn't have him over in your part of the world.
Did you have Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Not really, Chad.
I can't say he made it.
We had friends though.
You guys would have loved Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
What was his best bit?
I actually don't remember. So he was just like a crazy, goofy motherfucker who did like science experiments that made kids get into science.
Did you get into science because of it?
You know, like there's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like the good version of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
Wow. Shots fired. We will never be getting Neil deGrasse Tyson on this
Neil
podcast.
deGrasse Tyson will not be joining us ever.
It's unfortunate. I remember in primary school, I was able to do science. And one of the scientific experiments we got to do was build bottle rockets. You know what a bottle rocket is?
I do know what a bottle rocket is, yeah. We used to shoot them at each other.
We didn't shoot them at each other. It was just to go up in the sky.
It's like a Mentos into a Coke bottle.
No. So it is like a Coke bottle or something, right? But you would put a bit of water in there, which would essentially be like the fuel. And then you would put fins on it or whatever, so it would go up straight. But then you would use a bicycle pump. Then you pump it up so the pressure would be there and the cap at the bottom would fly off. The air would push the water or whatever you had in there out and it'd see how high it would go. And that was primary school.
Did you build volcanoes?
I believe we did. The bottle rockets stick out a bit more. I don't know why.
Well, rocket helps. Just the word rocket at a younger age.
We made that slime stuff. You could like use like flour and something else to make like
flour
a
and like
slime.
baking soda. It's like the physics where like you press harder and it gets harder, and you press soft and your finger slides into it.
Yeah, there's a term for that.
There is one. Yeah. I don't know it. Probably was told to us 25 years ago
by Bill Nye the Science Guy.
By Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about. Like all of this is
science
foreign
didn't
to
make
me.
it to Serbia by that time, so it's understandable.
Yeah, exactly. No science.
Oh dear. Local right now. It is what time?
I don't have any of my devices on.
7 p.m.
Okay, my clock on my computer says it's 5:47, which is not the time back in Europe.
No,
definitely not the time in the States.
It's probably like
it's probably Australia.
No, it's maybe
5:47 a.m.
a.m. Yeah, it's Australia.
Must be Australia.
Yeah.
Don't know why an Australian guy would have Australian time on his laptop. That's crazy.
But you have a whole weird time on your device situation going on. You have Australian time on your laptop. You have European time on your phone. Your phone changes time zone when you get back to the hotel versus at the studio. So then you're on local time.
Do you want the explanation?
I think it's just going to hurt my brain.
No, it won't. On your phone, you and I have the same phone.
Yeah.
Or we have the same make of phone,
Yep.
the Pixel. There's a setting on there that you can allow the time zone to be set by where you are.
Right.
But the Wi-Fi that we use in the venue is obviously through a VPN, and that VPN is going through Europe somewhere, probably Poland, I would imagine. Yeah. So that's why the time once I'm in the venue,
VPN country.
Bam, bam. That's why I wonder where we use as a VPN country when we're in Katowice. Curious. Regardless.
Our flag is American on TeamSpeak sometimes.
That's true. It was in Malta.
America.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But anyway, that's why the time when I'm in the venue is European time.
Yeah.
And when I'm at the hotel, it's on actual local time.
I mean, I understand the why that the time shows up that way. I don't understand the why of why you choose to
Normally
live
I do
like
shut
that.
it off. Normally I do. But this time around, when I landed, I was like, well, do I really need to know the time?
Yes.
But only when I wake up in the morning from the hotel and get on the shuttle. At any point after that, I don't actually need to know the time.
He's kind of right there. He's kind of correct.
I mean,
As long as I
need to, is it convenient? It is.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm at the mercy of Counter-Strike. I can only do what the Counter-Strike tells me to do.
Yeah.
When the clock says
I'm with you. I understand what you mean. The only responsibility you have is getting on the shuttle in the morning.
exactly.
Everything after that is not based off time. It's based off completion of the Counter-Strike.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just follow the Counter-Strike, which today I thoroughly enjoy.
It's got to be a liberating way to live your life. You have to feel like there's a weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, have no time concerns for anything else at all.
It was a great day for me. I got the shit shift today, working all 3 games, and we were done at like 6 p.m., which seemed
Yeah.
improbable at best.
Especially because Jacob was there until like what, midnight last night or something.
It was like a 13-hour day for him or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserved it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably did something.
I don't know what he did, but I'm sure he deserved
It's out
it.
there.
Too many bike rides. Nobody can be that brown and get away with it, right? Like he's so tanned.
He is
It's
very
not.
tan.
It's just not reasonably fair. So Jacob, get inside more. Do more 13-hour days, and then he'll lose his tan. See?
Yeah.
Now we're cooking.
Get back on that stream grind.
And that's well, he doesn't stream anymore. I don't think.
Is that like official or is it just because he's too busy? I think it's one of those things he cut out because he was too busy.
Okay,
I think he took a break, and then it just
And
the
then
break.
he's like, "Oh, I actually
the
really
break
enjoy
is
it."
the break is actually prolonged. He's like enjoying himself a lot more now, and that's the reason why.
I wonder
Funny how that works when you're not just he's a madman, bro. I remember when I did Blast World Finals in 2021. And like
The
it
last
was
time you
long
worked Blast?
days, and he would
What did you do there, bro?
nothing. I thought it went great.
Fuck, you upset someone.
I was on my best
Said something
behavior.
to somebody.
Best behavior as well. Nah, man, I'm keep my hats to myself, you know.
Fucking
But he would we would do a long day, and he would then stay to stream for like 2-3 more hours, right? Or he would show up early and then still do all the games.
And then he'd be
I'm
doing
like,
push-ups and he'd be doing
I'm
leg
like,
raises
Jacob,
and
why are you doing this? Like, surely you had enough of CS after like a 10-hour broadcast day. It's like, gotta stream, man. You know, I'm like, you really don't. But I understand what you're trying to say. But yeah, I think it's like because it's crazy, right? And you already do a full day's work, and then you go and work some more. Like I would be fine. You go and just play CS off stream with some friends if that's you're enjoying, but you have to still be on when you're streaming. Especially him, he was, I guess, fairly big. So
Yeah.
Now he's giving all those viewers over to Onopixel, who also doesn't stream anymore.
Yeah, he's on an extended break now.
And no one knows
nobody
why.
knows what's happening.
No, which I think is great. Like the anonymity of that. No one even knows his last name, right? We know his first name is Mark. We don't know his last name. I think that's, just to be able to unplug is quite nice, not to be at the mercy of...
I don't know why, like, he's so popular in a sense of
I think because he's an everyman.
Isn't he just opening cases all the time? That's all he does.
I don't know if he does that all the time. He definitely does a lot of co-streaming and watching of games. And it's just, I think the reason co-streaming is entertaining for people is because it's like you're watching with friends.
But he grew his audience by opening cases.
I think that's how he started as a skin guy.
Skin guy, case guy.
That for me is always like, I mean, people can do whatever they want, but I don't understand all the hype around and the people promoting it or being like super excited that his team would like manage to qualify for
that
the
was
RMR.
a bit of fun,
It's like gambling by proxy, though, right? Like you still get, if you're invested, you still get the excitement without having to put your money.
You get to watch
into
someone
it.
else lose.
Yeah, you're invested in his success.
But I think this is another thing in general. It's like with all this skin stuff, I understand it's massive to do with our scene, right? And microtransaction in games, especially ones that aren't pay to win, is like such a big industry these days. But we all grew up on Counter-Strike where that wasn't even a consideration. Like everybody had the same guns. The only thing that you would have different was like in 1.6, maybe you had a spray, right? And you'd have like, I'd always have the smiley face with the fucking things coming out of its head, right? But
I had the Lambda. I can't remember.
Oh, the Half-Life thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably the orange
I use
color.
the check mark.
Oh, bit of a... Oh, I felt you'd be an 8-ball kind of guy.
No,
Yeah.
no, I was a check mark. I like spraying it when I get a kill. I'm like, check.
Okay.
Nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
8 balls came after the games.
Dinko mentioned it to me during the cast yesterday that he's never played Counter-Strike when it didn't have skins.
He's also 12 years of age.
I know.
Yeah, so it just makes sense.
It was just a moment during the cast where I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're dating a much younger man, Jason.
Yeah, I know.
There's a huge age gap
Right,
here.
right. It's like 13 years.
What do you have in common? What do you talk about on those dinners? You just stare and
What
look
are
at
you
each other, you know?
Little halftime breaks between the maps.
See just a hot piece of ass to you.
Oh shit!
Young Dingo. Well, what are we? We're day 2 of IEM Rio 2024. We already lost a lot of teams,
Some big eliminations today.
but it's just a big tournament in general.
Yeah.
Like everyone here is good. Well, everyone here has the capacity
No,
to be good.
yeah, no. The truth is, when I was watching, like, was prepping for the tournament, looking stuff up, there's no like guaranteed win. Yeah, there's no team where you're like, oh yeah, this team is like just gonna get banged out in 2 games and that's gonna be it. Like every team that's out there has a fighting chance, right, against whoever they end up having to play. So it was a bit deceptive, maybe in that sense, and that's why the best of ones make it sting a little bit more.
Sure.
For some of the teams, because if you do mess up, then the road to playoffs is going to be really difficult, or your tournament life will be cut real short, just like G2's. I guess we might as well get straight into
Well, we
it.
never talk about G2, so it makes sense.
All right.
It's been a while.
I think what bothers me in all of this is like they decided not to practice after Blast.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day. They only would have had a couple of days to do so, but by not doing it at all in such a competitive scene right now is clearly a mistake.
Here's the thing.
Mouse did the same thing before Dallas.
Yeah, after Bet Boom, but it was like a little bit different circumstance. I believe it was also kind of silly in their sense because it was before the last tournament of the season for them. So it's like you might as well sort of...
Yeah,
Sure.
you have like 1 week of grind left.
Yeah, exactly. And then they came, and that was the first time they didn't make it out of groups, right? Losing to G2 with Stewie. But there's a couple of things. First of all, G2 as a team, they're not that good.
They're not a
like
good team.
the eye test, like it's not looking good. They're missing structure, they're missing protocols, they lack team play as a unit, right? Like, and okay, they make up for it with individual plays, and they're always going to play more loose because you want to give those players opportunities and space, and your sort of win condition is for them to play well, to step up, to find you those openings, or to win you some clutches, and so on and so on. That's okay. But so you definitely had things that to work on, and just because you won Blast doesn't mean all of a sudden, like it might for another team, oh, this is just now confirmation of us being really good, right? Like, no, you just, for them to win, things have to go a certain way, and they did, and props to them. It was, the game against Vitality, against Navi, both were really good. But it's like, you just beat Navi, who beat you 9 times before this, right? Like, who's the best team in the world. You also beat Vitality, right? You lift a trophy with a team. It's not even, it's what, 3 months now? If it's even 3 months with this lineup.
What are we talking? Coming out of the break into late July, right?
Yeah, so mid-September. It's like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So something like that, right? It's nothing. It's like really quick that you managed to achieve that. So don't you want to sort of just keep up those vibes for a couple of days?
Especially if Nico's going to
like
Falcons,
give the players, obviously Monday is travel day, Tuesday off, practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Make it a 4-hour day. I'm not saying like go in there for 8 hours, 10 hours and try to like really, the main focus shouldn't be, oh, we need to improve 10 different, let's work on these things that we're lacking. It should be, let's book some, weaker opponents, right? Play some maps that we haven't played maybe as much at Blast, just so it's still sort of fresh in our minds what we're doing, and so that the players also are still in that, competition.
Yeah, ride that confidence in a positive way.
Exactly, and the main focus is like good vibes during the practice, right? Like reinforce the positive, inflate their confidence, a little bit more, especially for Snacks, who I don't think it's as bad of a player as he's playing. I think he just has zero confidence, right? And then you come into this tournament and you're hopefully, because you still have a full day of travel, time zone change,
you lose
all this shit. So you're losing a couple of days. You physically cannot play CS, even if you wanted to. But no, they just like leave, give time off to everyone. No playing, you come here and you just get banged out in 3 months.
They look terrible.
All that being said, today, I mean, I agree, but I don't even think that would have saved him today. Today was some of the worst.
They also looked shit yesterday.
Yeah.
It was 2 days.
Yeah, but why, Jason?
Absolutely terrible CS.
Why was it? Do you think this might be the reason?
I don't think practicing, I don't think the reason was that they missed 2 days of playing Counter-Strike for 4 hours. I think they could have done a practice where you review some VODs, or you just talk over, you watch the demos and go back and talk about the situations you struggled in. I don't think the issue was like ring rust in terms of actually playing the game.
I don't think it's ring rust either, but I think that everybody here is good. So that's my concern.
Yeah, but I don't think 2 days is enough to reset these players to the point where it's like we can't.
Well, I don't know. The proof's in the pudding,
yeah,
right? Like,
well,
they played the worst Counter-Strike they've played as a team here, and it reminded me the way that they just fell apart and how shit it looked on the T side of the Cologne Mouse game.
Yeah,
because it was just so uninspired.
Yeah,
like and that one had no reason to be uninspired This one I could make some cases for. The high of winning a title and then coming here and starting again from the bottom of the group stage and having to work your way up. Sure, you can make those mental hitches, and I'm not using them as excuses. I'm just using them as reasons. But the way that they looked was fucking pathetic. Like, it was crazy.
I think I didn't watch all the games and all the teams, but legit, they might have been the worst team in this event in terms of how they open up rounds, the macro of the round, what is it that they're trying to do, how they're trying to, take map control or whatever it may be. Like, it's so weak that it's actually embarrassing. And the point is, yes, it's going to be weird, just lift the trophy and it's back to group stages and a best of one and all this shit. But that's the thing, like, if you're G2, if you're Taz, right, like, you have to be like, not let the players relax. You have to understand that you're not playing that good. Like, the wins that you get are coming, a lot of them, from individual prowess, and sure, like, you're always going to build the game that way, but surely when you rewatch your team play, like, you can see how bad it looks at times, uninspired, how, like, I don't know, how predictable.
Maybe they can't.
How easy
also winning that event is kind of like you put like the wool over your eyes for the next week, which maybe lent itself to not practice.
But that's when they play at the peak of what's possible for the roster, right? Like, they don't have a Hooksy to call them out of problems,
right?
They're calling us talk shit.
Yeah, the snacks decision is getting exposed as a pretty rough one right now.
I think we all thought, well, I don't know if everybody thought, the Snacks edition wasn't to make them tactically a world-class team.
No.
It was to use the strengths of the players being strong individually and just adding basic cohesion and round openers so that those players can then flourish.
Yeah.
There was like one round that was exciting for Nico today because he got to run up catwalk on Mirage and he just bopped Woxy, grabbed an AWP, and that was about it. Other than that, like, the rounds were like, Snacks is taking mid control. I'm like, well, if there's a fight, he's not winning that fight.
Yeah.
Like, Nico's lurking A and Hunter's lurking B. Well, you need something to happen in middle for the lurk to actually have a chance.
Yeah.
You either need information or you need a kill to force some form of rotation. Like, it was bafflingly bad, right? It was, I would say, embarrassing. Like, Nico had his worst performance ever.
Yeah, it's his worst.
CS2, I think.
It's his worst tournament ever in his career.
Ever.
Worst big event performance ever. And you look at even the Mirage game today against Eternal Fire. I mean, first gun round is like, they're doing default. They want to split B. Eternal Fire opened with 2 guys ladder, 1 guy B. So obviously, just a good read from them for that round. But also, there's a flash for Snacks for ladder, which Vikeria is playing an off angle, so it's not like that great. And Snacks dies, and that's it. The round is done.
Yeah.
Because they're so spread out. No one could trade there. No one can try to make a play somewhere else. Just positionally, it's so poor. The Nico dies at the back of his head. That happens the following gun round too. He had like 0 ADR for the first 5-6 rounds because he didn't get duels up until the Voxic kill. That was his first damage, I think, in the game, really. And it's like, this is just how you've structured these rounds is not good. Like, it can't come down to that.
I don't know. I feel like it's no different than any. I mean, yeah, it's no different than any, like, the old school lineups that we've seen over the years. Just try and build off skill. Like, you see the inconsistency in the game. It's just exactly what it is, and you just can't get away with it.
Swear to God, it felt like they looked better at TWC than they look now.
Probably.
Like, they've somehow regressed in those areas.
This is what happens, though, right? Like, this is the honeymoon period that we talk about, where everybody's on their best behavior, so everybody's going to be communicating more. Everyone's going to be putting in that extra effort. Everyone's going to be more forgiving. You get to this point, they just won a trophy, right? They come into this. One of the comm check-ins that we had was Nico, like, hey, if you need help, like, speak. Like, sure, he didn't play well individually, but, like, I imagine that the comms were at an all-time low, right? Because to see teams just go into rounds on CT or T sides and kind of, if you're ever going through the paces, through the motions of something that it isn't like structure, because structure makes sense. We do this, we get these reactions, but they don't have that. So you cannot have an off day with comms, because that is one thing that's going to directly contribute to a negative environment, and then that's going to contribute to negative individuals, right? Like, Monacy had a good Mirage, right? He was having some good moments, right? He had that nice 1v4 on Anubis. The day before, when G2 played against Heroic, I can like lift, like Malb's got a 4K, there was like a 2v4, there was was like a 2v5,
yeah.
right? There was all these rounds that were going in their favor because of individuals. They should have been slammed by Heroic. Heroic should have won that game like 13-5 or something like that.
Yes.
It shouldn't have been a close game, but it was on paper. So the 3 maps that they played, going from winning an event to coming last to the next, and now you have coming up another important stretch. You've got a couple of weeks off, then you go to Sentosa, right? And then you have to go into the RMRs. And the problem is, look, if Nico's going, it doesn't matter anyway. Like, who gives a fuck? But a team like this, I will never have them as a favorite to win an event.
No.
They are a favorite.
They're always a dark horse.
They're the dark horse.
They could win, but I wouldn't ever predict them. They have the individual ability to do so on the right day.
You need to see the eye test at the event.
It's also so hilarious how much teams are focusing like on Snax's bomb sites. If you look at the Mirage game for Eternal Fire, even the first round, and that's like the difference is you create space for the players a little bit by using utility, right? Like throwing sort of, they did a couple of mini fakes, mid, but then, sort of did a VK fake. So it looks like they basically faked a two-way they execute in a sense, right? To go out B, and Voxic went out A, he killed Monesi with the op.
Kill.
Yeah, right? And then they would go B. But the last round of the game was again, like they would just now fake B late after taking mid control, or just faking mid control, whatever, fake a B hit. And Monesi, who's ticket with the op rotates away, right? Like Malbs was shadow, he started pushing abs. Modesty immediately starts running away. Why? They all have to go towards B because B is just so weak for them. And it's not only because, and it's not only Snax, it's just this Snax Hunter duo is not working. I don't know if the problem is like they're not communicating enough, like they're not saying I'll do this, you do that. They don't have enough setups. They're just like too quiet on the bomb side. But either you need to switch Nico and Hunter and have Nico there who's going to be more vocal, or I don't know, put Snax somewhere else. Like another thing is on Anubis, he plays A. For Navi, that's Bit. For FaZe, that's Rops. Like
for Vitality, it's Flamesy.
Yeah, it's it's not where you put your weakest player. And first gun round on Anubis, where does Eternal Fire go?
Hey.
Actually, it was the force buy, right? They won the
They lost the pistol because Monesi got the triple kill with the dual Berettas.
Yeah. And then they forced...
Oh, yeah, and it was the MP9 round where, like, Snax is just he's close main, his utility runs out, he has the MP9, he moves to Fountain, Nico kind of rotates over, but not even really, and then they just go in and they just kill him. And that's it.
Sweet.
It's over.
I told you this in the last episode. I like, because Snax and Hunter play so many bomb sites together, not just like the opening of rounds, but when I see them like rotating in to try and clutch like a 2-on-2, or as two of them part of a 3, I have no confidence. I'm just sat there and I'm watching. I'm like, they're going to lose this round.
It's just so crazy.
No
a week ago, the hype is all about them winning a trophy, and now it's like that is their worst performance.
But that's why the eye test is king. It's like, okay, but why did they win? Was it because suddenly they're playing better? No, it's because, okay, things went the way they need to go for them in this tournament. Individuals played really well. They
Every
played
round,
they played
Nico
a lot.
Was getting multi-kill.
Yeah, they played a lot from ahead.
Yeah,
which again, like you're playing with more confidence and everything. Even if you look at the final against Navi, I mean, they were 9-3 up on Mirage and couldn't close it out on T side, right? Like they were 9-1 up actually. But
so look, I'm glad we did G2 first.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so fresh in my mind, and now like,
yeah.
but the
and now we got it all out of our system.
And the great thing is the conversation goes nowhere because Nico's leaving. It doesn't matter. The end of the season, whatever.
And because they don't have the tools to build that team composition into something different than it already is right now, and there's no indication.
I mean,
it's just plans to.
But I don't even. It's just like it's not even about the players or the team, or it's Nico or it's whoever it is. It's more like you have that caliber of players on the team, and you cannot set up a basic game, like a basic structure. All you need is a basic structure. You need a couple of smoke combinations for openings on every map.
Get that they missed like the insta window on pistol round.
Yeah, and one more time. Like you need to just have, okay, we'll have the window top mid smoke combination. We'll have another one where we smoke top con, window, and cat. And then out of those things, we'll have a default where we take mid. We'll have one where we just send one guy, and we'll have one where we throw it and then go and execute on the other side. Like it's not that fucking complicated, especially in MR12.
But you could see it was set up wrong. Snax is the guy taking the mid control.
Well, sometimes he's the guy who tries to go fast down con when they want to pop A,
that's
right?
Fine. That's when Nico should be like right behind him. I don't mind that. If it's like the Rain, Carrigan, get
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
off
yeah,
each other
yeah.
combo, fine. But when I see Snacks, the guy who's playing in front of, like, trying to do an Alexi V,
Right.
don't watch Na'Vi and think you're going to copy what's going on because you got no fucking idea what's going on.
There's
Like,
too many layers in that shit.
Like, don't even try. Like, that's what I agree with your sentiment of it being like simple. Do things that are going to work and just put your players in a position where if they are having a good day, they can thrive. Today they were all having a pretty terrible day. Yeah. So that's like that's it. That's what it is.
And just to end the point of all, like, oh, if they practice before, or where I was going with all of that, look where they are now. Like, sure, of course, if you're on the team, you're going to be like, guys, it was just a shit tournament. We never really showed up. It was a mistake maybe to not practice at all, right? We didn't come ready to play, but we're better than this. It was a one-off, and you're going to
shrug it off.
at least use this time. Okay, I don't think they're going to do much practicing from here, but hopefully, Snacks, Taz, come up with something. Look at, okay, what are we missing, and come up with things that they're going to add once they go back to practicing, and sort of start to try to elevate it a little bit more so that the players don't completely lose confidence, because that would be awful, right? Like if, holy shit, we actually maybe suck.
I don't think they will lose confidence because of, like, if Nico is leaving, then they may as every event you're just having a crack, right? Like, so I don't think they're going to lose. Like, here's a question though. Do you think either or both Snacks and Taz will be there starter next year?
I don't think both are there.
100%
both aren't there.
I don't think either.
But yeah, I don't know. I
don't think Hunter should be there. I don't think Snacks should be there. I don't think Taz should be there. I think it should be Malbs and Monacy complete rebuild.
Yeah, it's just hard. Yeah, I mean, yes, but it's hard to do something like that from an organizational perspective.
I'm
also
also
rebuild a team to that extent in like a couple months.
As long as you have
because
Monacy
might not even be there for long.
Well, it depends. We don't know when his contract ends, right? If his contract's ending, then if I'm Monacy, I'm fielding every offer under the sun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but also if you're G2, I think you have to build from the ground up. You can't build from the top down, right? Like, meaning, okay, if you're going to have to go through this sort of rehaul of your Counter-Strike division, right? Get the fucking, like, blue chip coach and an in-game leader, right? Like, get guys who will be able
but if you have Monacy and Malbs already.
Yeah. Well, if you have both of them, for sure, right? But then, okay, let's say Nico is leaving, you'll get, good money for him.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get like someone, I don't know, who knows if FaZe is going bad, maybe try to bring Kerrigan on.
Yeah.
Right? Like bring Kerrigan in and then see who you might get also as a coach to bring over as well. And now you have like a really solid like team.
This?
And then it's about the easiest thing to get is just like pure riflers.
Yeah, they're a dime a dozen.
Obviously
there's some better than others, but I think like to see where they're at or whatever.
Nexa's out there.
Yeah, go for him. What about you use the money that you get for the Nico sale and you buy Saw, Nertz, and Kixon?
Good shout. Yeah.
Then you still putting stock in Kixon? As an IGN?
Look, if we're picking in-game leaders, Jason, where else are we going? We can get Shuey from Mouse.
No.
Okay, we're not getting Shuey from Mouse.
I think he's like super overrated.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Controversial take.
That is a controversial take.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's pretty inconsistent with his individual level.
Well, there's a lot of Play Academy glazers, Yanko, so you're going to go up against them right now.
And that also sometimes impacts the calling.
Okay.
And yeah, I just think like, sure, sometimes it's good. It's like pretty good. For example, even against G2, right? Some good reads in that game in Cologne, but people are putting him in the conversation with like Apex and Kerrigan and like as right now some of the best in-game or Alexi like that we have, and he's like right there with them. I don't put him there. I think he has also talented players.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm not really super impressed.
He's got a pretty decent resume for the length of his career so far.
Yeah, he does. That's fine. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's bad.
But he's not. Like
I'm saying he's overrated, which as Duncan likes to point out,
he's still really. He's always got to make that distinction. Chad's got some breaking news here.
I don't, because we started this and the games were still live. Or the game was still live. It was Mouse taking on Complexity in an elimination game.
How are we doing?
It's over 2-0.
Okay, yeah.
First map was 16-12 on Vertigo, and the second game was 16-12 on Inferno. So cold. That is like heartbreaking.
Not just that, but both overtimes were 4-0 for Mouse. They didn't win a single round in OT.
It's just the most heartbreaking way to go out.
Yeah, poor Complexity.
And Complexity came back, they were the ones who were defending match point to get it into OT, and then Nothing changed.
Well, from one North American team to another, and we've also just talked about honeymoon periods with G2, so now we can do it with Liquid, because they've had an ugly, disappointing exit today.
Well, can I throw you something that's quite interesting?
Throw it.
Can you name the 4 organizations that Liquid have lost to? They've only lost to 4 online.
Yeah.
In Counter-Strike right now.
FaZe, Navi, Vitality, G2.
Yep. In the top 5.
Yeah.
Pretty tough spot. The biggest issue is the collapse is against FaZe, like how blown out they can get,
the
right?
The last 2 series against FaZe have both been...
Those are the issues, right? Because their game against Na'Vi last night, they could have won that game.
Yeah.
And then they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's
yeah, they could have won it, but also they got blown out on the last 2 maps of the series.
Weren't they coming back on Ancient? I swear
they were, yeah. It was
13-11
in the end, I think, for Navi, no? On the third
I think
map.
it was. I think
Yeah.
it was.
And they fucked
came
up.
back
Twist
in.
was saying they fucked up like the last 2 gun rounds.
Yeah.
Well, the first like 8 rounds they played on the T side of Ancient, they couldn't get any lane control outside B. They couldn't get any mid control. They just couldn't get anything done.
It isn't surprising that Carrigan has Twist's number, considering Twist is essentially using Carrigan as his inspiration of being an in-game leader. Like that's no surprise for me whatsoever. I think that the fact that they're losing to a Vitality, a G2, a Na'Vi, for example, that is what it is. Like, but they've beaten everybody else. They lost to like Legacy Online or some shit, right? When they were in those qualifiers. But I don't count online count.
Yeah, I
don't
care.
count.
You can suck my dick. So for Liquid, I'm not as doom and gloom. My biggest concern at the moment is probably Ultimate, who went from having these really big highs to now tussling with the top boys all the time and not being able to get away with anything at the moment. Because if you know, somebody that can be as influential as him is going to be required. And obviously not every game. We know that not every player is going to have a huge match every time, but it's about impact, right? It's about what type of impact that player can find for you. So there are some signs where I watch and I go, oh, this doesn't look great, or they're missing a few things here. But because I look at the teams they've lost to, they're essentially just at the moment gate kept out of the top 5.
Well, that's one thing. The second thing is as well, it was Cologne, then going back to play the qualifier for Rio from NA, then coming to Pro League, then going to Blast, and then coming here again, right? Like that's almost a month and a half, really almost 2 months, where you're constantly like playing tournaments for a team that's new, right? And Twist's new in the in-game leader role. Like they just need some time to refresh their playbook and to sort of step back and evaluate, right? Okay, this is what works for us. This is what doesn't really work for us. Refresh some strategies, you know, come up with some new openings, new endings, right? Because after a while, you know, you feel like you've done everything that you have. And that's what maybe has made it a little bit easier for teams to play against them or to read them, right? Because there's only so much you can do in that time span.
I think there's some deeper issues. I'm not ready to like call the alarms or anything, but I think there's some deeper issues that feel to me like they've been exposed in these last 2 events for Liquid that I think those are things they'll have to address. Obviously, the Ultimate thing is one of them, with how quiet he's been. And it was clear today when I was watching the game that FaZe had very much prepped and seen the plays he likes to make on Inferno against Na'Vi. Like the Ultimate against Na'Vi was just running up middle with an AWP and posting up like 2 or 3 rounds.
A couple of those rounds.
FaZe, whenever they knew that Liquid had money on the T side, Brokey's not peeking that angle. No one's peeking that angle. You can just tell they're just like
staying him any offerings.
They're not giving any of that.
Yeah.
You add into that when Kinder struggles on entries, I think it really exposes the fact that JKS and NAF are both very similar passive play styles.
See,
like
this
roster,
I'm curious about, right? Because I see this conversation and it's about like having to take a risk once your Kinder gives information, right? So I did the Inferno game between Complexity and Liquid, and when your Kinder was putting information down the pipeline of what was happening in Banana, I think you were working this game too, then the A players would respond accordingly, but there were certain scenarios where I thought they responded too late. I felt like your Kinder would have given the info and they should have gone on a quicker timing. So in those scenarios, it would have been less on Inferno, it would have been less about JKS and NAF, because NAF's playing boiler/halls, JKS is playing boiler/mid, so it's more JKS and twists, right?
I think Inferno's a rough,
but that's the example that I casted,
have,
right? But in terms of like what you're talking about there, the thing is, it has to be these good decisions for the individuals to take the space based off, because I'm not in the camp of, oh, you can just sucks, like why is he paycheck stealing? He plays these difficult positions to get map control. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes he's not. I'm not ever saying he's great, because he's definitely not playing great CS. That's not, that would just,
he has to find a way to output more frags.
Yes.
I'm not saying key opening kill frags, like, right, I can, you can understand on T side, right, it's, he's in Banana and he's trying to like get a kill or create space, and that's going to be tough and everything. But on the CT side as well, you know, that
True.
sometimes it's just about, right? Like, and I think some of the criticism is fair, like some of it is unfair, because he does have a tough role, and if he manages to create space and he gets traded and they take the side, who cares,
Doesn't
right?
matter.
Like, he's done his job. But the problem is at times, now a little bit less so than a couple of months, is like he's trying to overcompensate for, like, you know, he's
swinging too much or fighting
he's
too much.
searching, he's going for plays when there's not a play to be made, right? Like,
Okay.
he's kind of trying to force the issue a little bit just to like find that impact, you know. And it's tough, right, when you're struggling, when you're in a slump, like, to
Similar
have
concept of snacks. Like
Yeah.
you're almost in your own head a little bit.
to
when it
have
comes to-
this attitude of just letting like the plays come to you, you know, like letting the game come to you, for it to the round to develop, and then just take what's there, right, in terms of the play. But yeah, I can understand everything. But even today, it was both him and Ultimate, 15 kills over the course of both maps combined,
it's
right?
gross.
Just needs to be more than that,
Yeah.
you know.
I think to your point here, Jason, because I think it's tough to argue against passive players, and then them having to be in roles where they require more initiative. Like, that's, people have put them in those boxes, and I think, like, let's say out of 10 situations, those guys are more likely to go 4 out of 10 times aggressive and 6 at like more passive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, or maybe even like you could argue that number, but
Right.
they're more often than not going to go for the passive answer. But I look at Liquid as another one of these teams we put in like a high skill category, but I think Twist is trying to build something that's more akin to like where FaZe is at the moment, which is still even's a bad word, which is still more system based than G2. Like, G2 just are going to be opening and then hope that they
But
win. I think FaZe have more than that, and I think Twist is trying
Yes.
to take Liquid in that direction, which will take time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think also with Yakinder, for example, I think he's a bit too all in a sense of he will either get you a kill or 2 kills and really like deliver and almost win you the round with that, or he'll just die and put you in a tough spot. Even look at the FaZe game today. In the force buy, he finds a double entry or an entry, right? Like, that gets the sort of
minus,
half
yeah.
started for them. Then even in the AK in the next gun round, he finds an opening in Banana. But then when the score is like, I think might have even been 6-3 for Liquid or 6-2 for Liquid, like, he dies the next 2 gun rounds.
For nothing.
You know, in Banana, where it's like, sometimes you could just like sort of give it as well. Like, look at the, you know, try to maybe predict a little bit more, okay, they're going to start putting more resources here, let's just stay out of it, let's try to do something else, right? Like, or even if you're there, if you see them throwing a lot of shit, just back out, right? Like, maybe retake it, delay it, like things like that, you know. You don't always have to be in the thick of it, right? It's a little bit about how the half is going, right? Like, what's been happening on the server up until that point.
Yeah.
Are you disillusioned by what you've seen though, Jason? Do you think
He
that-
sounds disillusioned.
Yeah,
he sounds like he's giving up.
I mean, I was always hesitant to get on board with it as well. I mean, just they had a good string of results. I just think they're hitting that wall that I think every team hits to when you have a big lineup change where you show good results, where then teams catch up to you and they start researching and looking into you and figuring you out and playing against you.
Yeah.
And then your results slip. And
But
it's
the results
and then
haven't slipped. They've only lost to the same 4 teams.
Yeah, but I mean, getting
But they're
knocked
out
out
of
of tournaments.
groups.
I know,
mean,
but we already said it's a stacked tournament. G2 just won a tournament, came last.
yeah, but that context doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Why not?
Of course it matters. Like,
It doesn't.
why
because
do,
they
why
still,
do, so tell me, why do you care about where they're placed if they lose to like one of the best teams in the world? Like, would you rate them higher if they beat Complexity and then they beat Heroic and then lost to Navi in the upper bracket game and then went to the quarterfinals and lost to Vitality in the quarterfinals?
because I just watched them get destroyed by FaZe twice now. It's
Yeah,
not
but-
about getting
but that's
beat.
that's
it's about
that's
getting destroyed.
so in a moment of Counter-Strike where we have this team beats this team beats this team, right? Like, it only just got changed with G2 versus Navi,
Sure.
for example. Like, if they were losing to, I don't know, fucking Imperial, right? And the same issues that you're talking about.
Or if they looked like G2 when you're watching them.
Look, boys, I don't think that this team is going to be a disaster. I'm saying there's some signs here that they're going to have to figure out.
But obviously,
That's my
Jason,
opening point. What do you mean?
Look, they even as the team
Yeah.
are out there saying this is a longer term project, right? I
Yeah.
think that the results that they had early probably put a bit of shine of higher expectation for them.
Sure.
But realistically, with what they're trying to build and where they're going to go, it is going to take time, right? And I like a new in-game leader, a rookie AWPer from nowhere,
Yeah.
getting players like JKS and NAF to have to be more initiative taking players. They both can't be passive, right? Like, and it doesn't always have to be one or the other. It should be both of them, I think, changing with a bit of responsibility. possibility from time to time. But I don't think that they're on a bad path. I think that the biggest disappointment about today is the fact it was blowouts.
That's what I just said. That's literally what I just said.
No, but you're overall blowouts to FaZe, right? Like that's their kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Chad is making the point that it's only to FaZe, and you're making a point that it's, you're saying that it's a blowout. He's saying, yeah, but it's only to FaZe, which is like makes it less bad because that's the one team they struggle with a lot.
I get it. And again, I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to make it sound like Liquid's going to be like dog shit. Like I think they're not doing anything.
I don't know, man.
I just think there's issues that they haven't actually fixed, and I don't know how they fix them within this team.
I don't know if they know how to fix them.
When this roster came together, I was watching games where I would see, like my example, yours was Inferno. Mine is the one I think of is like Ancient. Like JKS, when they first started playing Ancient in this roster, is making like mid-round aggressive moves to take a solo when he feels like attention is going on elsewhere. Like he's actually challenging the extremities. And I don't see that nowadays. I don't see that when they're playing. I see them losing Yakinder. No one's able to find a kill against, especially today against FaZe. Like you lose your entry, you're in a 4v5. No one's really, you're trying to make the defense move, and no one else is able to create anything.
Who picked Inferno? It was
Liquid.
I don't think they're map pool.
FaZe,
I think
FaZe picked it in the last series.
Yeah. I think that their map pool, what they think they're good at, they're not good at. Like
they should have picked the Ancient, probably, no?
Yeah,
or Nuke.
I think the Ancient's good, and they don't. Yeah. And look, let's say that Ancient or
Na'Vi also embarrassed them on Ancient yesterday. Even though it was a close game, their T side was so ugly.
But the score was 13-11.
Okay. Well, now we're just switching points. You guys are like, what's
Don't look at me. I didn't watch that game.
No, I'm just saying this.
He was working it.
I'm saying the T side that they played against Na'Vi on Ancient was disgusting.
Yeah, he's saying like the eye test, like it was shit.
The first 8 or 9 rounds was like you have no chance at winning.
Yeah, well,
0.
Na'Vi the best team in the world.
Yeah.
FaZe are like a top 5 team, I guess. So I think that was third map decider, right?
Yeah.
Did they win and they won Inferno against Na'Vi?
Yeah. They trounced them on Inferno.
Yeah, so me saying that their Inferno is probably not a good map for them is probably wrong. Because if they beat Na'Vi on it.
I don't know. They beat Na'Vi in a fashion that I don't think is super replicable.
In the FaZe matchup as well, it's like you're picking a map that they picked last time around. Like you just don't, you in general, as a general rule, you don't want to be doing that because obviously they're comfortable on it and comfortable against you, right? So just...
What did FaZe ban in that series?
Anubis.
Okay, there you go. Because I imagine if they would pick Anubis otherwise. But
but they do that every time against.
So there you go. So because Vertigo is such a common ban for a lot of these teams,
they picked Mirage a couple of times. They had the comeback one time. Then in Copenhagen it was 13-1.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, we're not going to be doing that again, are we now?
You don't want to go to Nuke. Understand?
You really don't. You kind of don't. And then it's Ancient or Inferno or Dust, right? Which is
FaZe are picking Dust too now. Yeah. And they got fucked.
Yeah, and they fucked them with they won both pistols, converted the gun round. It's like it was the aggression on the CT side of Dust that was, and they were just on. FaZe was just better today,
FaZe was ridiculous today. Roki was hitting some crazy shots.
Roki and Frozen are both playing. Your Star Rifler and your Opera are popping off. It's going to be tough.
Also, pistol rounds were atrocious for Liquid this event. They lost 5 of 6 against FaZe today, 5 of 6 against Na'Vi yesterday.
I wonder how much goes into this of the...
What's that?
4 of 4. But they won the 4s, but they didn't play 6 halves.
The big brother situation with Karrigan/Twist, right? Like, so maybe the confidence grows from there, right? 4 FaZe against Liquid.
Sure.
And I wonder, now that we get tomorrow, we get FaZe versus Mouse. I wonder if that continues.
Yeah. I don't
know what that record's at now, FaZe Mouse.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember the I'm going to...
you can check.
There's
no
Wi-Fi on this live.
I think something that people also, kind of neglect, or when you talk about Twist, is the new IGL. Like what are his deficiencies going to be in that sense, or what do you gain with experience? I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, he won't know what to do or where to send his players or something like that. I think it's more so this feeling like for momentum calling and understanding, we just won a clutch, like this type of round is good to call after that.
One that Karrigan's a god at.
I'm playing against a team that they have a weak link on the team, right? How can I abuse that fact in terms of calling, right? Like maybe just faking that I'll go there and then go somewhere, make them like overall, like all these things is that he'll have to sort of learn by experience and get a feel for what does he really, like to call in those situations, what suits his team and his players, right? Like or when you know that their money is not ideal, right? Like what could be a good call to change it. And
momentum calling is so important in MR12. It's like so much more effective.
Yeah, it can be so punishing.
Yeah.
I just had a look at the matchup. So going back to IEM Sydney last year, that's when Frozen was still on the Mouse roster, but this is all the CS2 results playing against each other. A 2-0 for FaZe in Sydney, a 2-1 for FaZe at Thunderpick, 2-1 for FaZe at CAC, and 2-0 for FaZe at CAC, 2-0 for FaZe at Blast Premier World Finals 2023, 2-0 for FaZe in Katowice, 2-0 for FaZe in Chengdu.
So 2 times this year and 5 times last year in just 3 months.
7-0.
Yeah, so they've only won 2 maps out of all those series.
Holy shit.
Some of them have been close, like 13-11 type close or even overtime close. So, but Maus are going to have to get through that big brother type syndrome if they want a spot in the playoffs, right? Because that's the final matchup for Group A.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And Maus have been on a bit of a downward slide, I would say, at the moment. And then the other matchup is going to be the winner of Astralis versus...
It's Astralis VP.
Yeah, Astralis VP versus...
Playing Eternal Fire Mongols, yeah.
Which Eternal Fire
should
Mongols...
Be Eternal Fire.
It should, because Eternal Fire Mongols played at Pro League, and because EF banned Ancient, I think it really hurts the Mongols in that matchup. So... I'd have EF as well in that one. I think, and hopefully EF overcome either of VP or Astralis.
I think they're the favorite in that bracket.
The way Woxic looked today, holy shit. He's in, but he's back to his full.
Both him and Xantares had over like 100 ADR, and then Vicadia had like 90.
Yeah, he was playing well as well. Like, kind of alleviates a bit of pressure off the kid, and he actually gets to perform. And it was really good today.
And you have faith in Major, right? And like his calling and his prep, and also they have like a lot of things in their playbook. Their map pool is fairly strong. I mean, Anubis, Inferno, really strong at, right? Like, people have been trying to punish them on Mirage lately, but
today's win was
been so-and-so.
Yeah.
Calyx is headshotting from time to time.
He had some good moments too. So I think overall they're looking good. This is the type of a bracket now that they need to run to continue to build the legitimacy behind the type of Counter-Strike.
I also think if you want to see like what we mean by saying, oh, Snacks isn't back, he just plays with zero confidence. So who's a player like similar maybe that plays with a lot of confidence? Oh, I was going to say Carrigan today, especially right in the series, because it's just confidence duels, taking fights, right? And then also he was on point, he was hitting all those shots where it's like, holy, okay, Carrigan, I see you.
His pistol round does too.
And then you see on the other side of things, just always like, I don't want to take this fight, I don't want to die, let's just wait for someone else to come and trade me. I'll wait for someone to come and someone to come and trade me, because I won't be able to kill this guy. Instead of being like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up, right? Like it has to be like that. You have to have that killer instinct, otherwise it's almost impossible to play on that.
It's all over Red Jova, for sure. We'll let everybody know that we did record an episode with Edward in Pro League, but we will not be able to air it because we fucked up the setup. I'll take blame for that because it's my mixer.
I'll take blame as well.
Yeah, I think Moses is to blame.
I don't think any one person is to blame.
I think Jason is 100% to blame.
Jason, I don't blame you.
Thank you.
I blame you.
But
in case you haven't figured it out.
the ESL guys got back to me today. So said it's non-recoverable. They said they can improve it a little bit, but it will not be pleasant to listen to.
Fair enough.
I was gonna try and just, if that was the case, I was gonna try and grab Edward while we were here, but they just got eliminated, so I don't know if he's going home or not.
Plus, we can't replicate the conversation.
No, you can't. But he's a cool person to talk to, and
we can just talk to him again down the line. Maybe
we'll just get him in another time.
Yeah. Well, no, because I was up in this room the other day recording some content. I think it was yesterday actually.
I was too, out on the balcony.
Yeah, well, and that's content. People might not see it either. But I like we deal with the same like camera ops almost every single event, right, that we go to. And I was in here and I came up and I was just like, these guys film everything. Like I know because I follow some of them on Instagram and shit, and they're not full-time ESL employees. They work for other companies, do other things. And I was like, Raul and Jan were in here and I go, have either of you guys recorded porn? And Jan's like, yeah, I did. Like he's like, during COVID.
All do.
No. Well, because the reason it kind of came into my mind was like, I've seen these guys now for the better part of 10 years. Yeah. Like even Jan was doing stuff when I was playing. right? But the skits we've done with like Raoul's been in bed with me, like with the camera over the top, like we've done some crazy shit.
You're like, sorry, man, I know this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that weird.
Another restless night.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. That would have been the time he was in bed with me for sure. That was very hot, that bed. Yeah, that villa.
That was here 2 years ago.
There's so many like producers and people in production and esports that I've met over the years that
I've been in bed with,
who've worked in the porn industry in the past.
Really?
Yeah, there's many.
Damn.
Many of them.
Okay.
So we get the cream of the crop.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice one there, Yanko. You've done well there. No, I just thought it was an interesting question. And he was like, he's a very art house type thing he had done. I think it was only one porno. So,
well, and you know, knowing
it's
him,
not
it was a classy one. It had a plot.
Yeah, it did.
There was good lighting.
It was in German, obviously.
Yeah.
So
They all have a plot, Jason, if you pay enough attention.
someone's always poking holes in them, though, I've heard.
Oh.
Hey. So anyway, let's get back on the Counter-Strike before people talk about how I always derail the conversation. How's the Discord going?
It's good.
Sounds good.
2,100 people in there.
I'll be honest, and shout out to everyone in there. I'm glad I'm not in there.
You're not in there.
I'm so glad.
It was just funny because it was your idea.
Yeah.
Chad came in one day and goes, "We should really start a Discord."
Yeah.
And now he's not in there.
I think you just I don't know why you feel forced to interact like with people you don't like to
Because
interact.
I have nothing going on in my life that, you know, you just go between
all
like
right.
Twitter, Instagram,
Yes,
Reddit,
okay,
HLTV, the
yes.
Discord, and then you feel like you need to type something because you see something.
But
See something,
you
say
chose
something.
Discord to drop off that list because you still go to Twitter, you still go to Instagram, you
Yeah.
still go to Reddit.
Yeah.
It was Discord that didn't make the cut.
But
As
it's
long as
because
you
these
don't-
are people who have chosen, like they know my brain damage, right? But
Sure.
they've chosen to be part of the Discord community and then still rile me up. So it's like, fair enough.
As long as you
Fair
don't go out
You
there
guys
and,
win.
and post on HLTV forums, Chad.
Sometimes I don't make the threads though. I'm
All
not
right.
a thread maker. I reply. Like they on HLTV. There's conspiracy theories at the moment. They think I'm certain users. I'm having to dispel that I do not have any dupe accounts. I do not. No, I'm a good boy.
I believe that. Actually,
Yeah,
I don't think Chad has the emotional capacity to
do-
manage.
I do have one thing that I want to talk about on the podcast, and that's Spirit not being here. So, like, they declined the invite, you know, busy schedule, they had Cologne, Bat Boom, Pro League, Blast Finals, and then this would have been the next one, and then there's only a couple of weeks, or actually there's like 4 weeks before the RMR,
For the RMR, yeah.
which is kind of weird, right? Because this was like your last thing, sort of.
Well, they're going to Sentosa. They're going to the World Finals.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Then there's that as well. My point, but my point,
Sentosa?
but
Singapore, Sentosa.
okay.
yeah.
Sorry, guys. You know, it's
Yeah,
my part of the world.
yeah,
I've been
yeah,
to-
yeah.
I've
You
been
said it
there a bunch.
earlier, and I was like, "What was
Yeah.
it?"
I've
But
been to Singapore.
my point basically, okay, you're trying to avoid burnout on whom? On 18, 17-year-old donk, 20-year-old Magisk, 21-year-old, 18-year-old Zontix. Like, what are they going to do? What are they doing right now, Chad?
Trying to cure the team's depression, I imagine.
No, what is like Zontix and Donk? What is Donk doing right now?
He's probably playing counter.
Watching anime or playing Counter.
He's playing his 7th pug of the day. Most likely he's going to play probably 7 more before he goes to sleep, right? Like, my point being is like, these are young guys who just want to play CS.
There's one
right?
frag.
Yeah,
fair.
exactly. And they'll just spend, if they were, they're now going to relax and not play too much in practice and whatever. Yeah, okay. But they're just going to be playing CS all the time. I don't know if anyone on that team, except for maybe Chopper and the coach, right? So I'm like, I understand trying to avoid burnout and all of that, but I don't think their team is one that's
know,
like
Yanko,
in
first
danger
all,
of that.
They're Russians, so as we all know, it's basically like the 1980s there, and they all get married when they're 21. So like, they are old.
Well, I mean, it's only Chopper who's like married, I think, or maybe
It's the
not.
most insane line of logic I've heard in a long fucking time.
Yeah. But because in Australia it's different. You're a young guy, right? You're like 22, yeah.
Exactly. I'm still like a spring chicken.
Yeah.
No, I'm still a good couple years.
And the danger of it is you have to respond to the invite, right? Like month and a half, 2 months in advance, something like that,
to
right?
the wedding,
It's like
or
nice.
Keep going. He's in
Yeah.
a spoon.
Yeah. And right, and at that time maybe you're thinking, yeah, we'll do good at these tournaments, right? We won't need it. But now they're struggling and they're in a slump and they're skipping tournaments. You're not really in a position to do so. You need to try and sort of.
I'll be honest. I think this is probably a great time for them to skip a tournament after the way that I watched the last two and the body language and the inability to do basic interviews at times. Like it's just let them have their break. If I'm Spirit, what I'm looking at is, are there any like online small events before the RMR? Is there like one CCT Cup?
There's Thunder Pick. I don't think they're in Thunder. They might be in
Like,
Thunder
could you
Pick.
maybe get into that? If you come to Thunder Pick and say, hey, Spirit, the number 4 ranked team in the world, wants
They
to go
can't.
to
It's the
event."
same time as World Finals.
Okay, got nothing then.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, at least they have World Finals before the RMR. They have something to get them back in the swing of things.
Yeah, against all the other best teams in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know how crazy that is? They're all going to go, all the best teams are going to go and play that event, and then all going to go play the RMR. So you better hope.
Is it? They have no time to go back. They go.
I think it's like a week or two after, right?
Oh, they'll go back then. I
Oh, yeah,
guess.
but like,
yeah, there's not a lot of
You'll,
straight
time.
into
you'll
it.
have the G2 decision before this.
It's straight
You're gonna
into
get
it.
back and maybe have a day off and then 2 days of
there
practice.
should
and
be
it's straight.
no time. Like, these guys are going to have to go. Like, the thing is, right now, the results that are coming through the pipe are going to have effect on the invites for next year's events.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the major will be the be all and end all of that.
Yeah.
And teams can still make up ground because there's events there. But going to events,
There's
and
2
losing
weeks in
games,
between.
Okay. So going to events and losing games, that would be during the Asian RMR and then the Americas RMR. Yeah. That is going to hurt some of these teams more than others. Next year is going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to start having some of these conversations about like the bigger picture of like the tournament flow and what actual matchup results mean and everything like that, because the Valve world ranking is going to mean everything. Like
I think it'd be cool to find a way to like keep track to almost like Moneyball the system, like and see like where it's worth going to an event, where it's not. Like,
but
based on
I
how
guess it
much you
depends
can
on what
play.
teams are there, right?
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is always the hard part. But because we were theorizing about this the other day, of just like do
All the good teams just go to the
all the
same
good teams likely go into one event. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Baby
of
Shark.
fucking
da-
crazy-
da- 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 da-
Don't do that. It's gonna be stuck in my head this entire podcast. It's coming to you. Where was I going with that?
Yeah, like everybody agrees. But isn't that
the top teams go,
corrupt?
and maybe like 1 or 2 split off, or maybe 1 or 2 go to an event that they're just not going to the tier 1 event, and they decide to go do it and say, let's go challenge and try and get this prize money, get ourselves back into shape. So you have 1 or 2 tier 1 teams playing in essentially a tier 2 tournament. But is it worth them to risk that? Is it even going to be in a period of Counter-Strike where inside the server, every player and coach and analyst is trying to optimize every single minuscule percent of every decision? Is there going to be that trade-off in the decision of your schedule?
Okay, so then becomes the conversation of how many events do you need to play within a season to be informed to peak for the major?
I mean, it's. I think it'd be cool. Like, I
5?
mean, not to. I'm not. 5 to win 5 events or go
Not win.
do
Be
good at
at.
5 events. Be
Play 5 events.
Mm,
And the major being
I feel like it'd have to be more.
more 7.
7 events? With the
Something
major being
like
8?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like in
But
the
this is
first
what we'll find out.
6 months, 5 months. So if it's 5, then it's just 1 event a month.
Oh, but let's do some quick maths right here. If you did the Blast Bounty, you did Katowice, like let's just pretend it was the same way it is right now.
Yeah.
You did the first Blast like open event. I forget the name of it. You did the first like ESL level event. It's like the one we're at right now.
Yeah.
There's 4. You do
Pro League,
And a pro league.
a
Is in
Pro League. You do the Blast.
PGL.
a PGL, yeah.
I'm just using 2 tiers
Ah,
here
okay.
kind of
Okay, for
to
easy.
show a point, right?
Yeah.
You do the other Blast like event, which is meant to be their fall finals or spring finals.
Yeah.
You do Cato. I didn't even mention Cato. There's 7. That's
Yeah.
that'd be Dallas as well. There's your 8.
Yeah.
And you just
Well,
imagine
I
we
think-
live in the same world as we live in right now, with the same teams
But
who all
let me
just
ask you a
elect to
question.
go to those events.
How many would it take for like a tier 2 team? How many events would you have to play in if you're like MIBR?
What do you mean? To get enough points?
Yeah.
It's going to be ELO based, right?
Right. But that's what I mean. How many events would you have to play to make enough ELO to
You'd
get
play
into
in
the
every
top
event you
events?
have the opportunity to play in.
Yeah, but if you're outside that top 8, whatever it is that have to get invited for a tier 1 event,
16.
to like be able to work
16.
work your way up the ladder to go to those tier 1 events.
It doesn't, but like obviously prize money and stuff play a factor in certain points, but it's ELO versus ELO, like for the majority of the points.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
I know, but how many to compete in the big ELO events? Like to break into the
No,
big
I
ELO
see what
events.
you're saying,
Okay.
but let's say that all of the elite level teams or elite level orgs, maybe elite level teams is an unfair way to put it, but the elite level
Sure.
orgs, let's say all of them have let's say they all do the Blast frequent flyer program.
Yeah.
If they get elected to be there, and let's say ESL have something similar, then all of those teams only play those events. So essentially, like you and I play each other at all of these events, but we're just kind of trading elo back and forth, right? Like, and it's only, I don't know how much it's got. Like, I don't know the system enough, but we keep it in house. And maybe there's a couple of other teams that get an opportunity, but as long as we beat those dogs, right? Like, and we only lose to each other.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Then we keep this nice incestuous top 16 or top whatever just going.
And
it's
then
beautiful.
we have partner leagues without even having to have the partner.
Wow, it's funny that Valve accidentally let that be a possibility, isn't it?
Everyone beats off the one team on the right.
Yeah.
Fun game in Serbia?
Fun game everywhere.
Depends on who's playing, really. So
oh yeah, it's gonna be. I hope we have someone who keeps track of like the crazy like stats with that. Like it'd be fun to have like if there was like a stat. Fun is a strong word, but like if there was a stat that was like, hey, G2 holds the record. They qualified for the major in 3 events back in like 2024 because they just rattle off 3 wins in a row.
Yeah,
right?
but
Like,
that's
what if you
it.
win 3 events? Can you just be like, I'm chilling?
I feel that's the intention. I think the intention is to attend as few events as possible, being elective about it, and making sure every event that you go into is not to be a warm-up event, but is to win, right? Obviously, first event of the season, or first a few events of the season, are going to be more what, because you had a longer break, right?
Yeah.
But I think the idea, and the calendar being available so early in advance is so these teams can actually plan these runways. But then the next question comes, and one we've had spoken about many times, when does the invite for said event come out? Right. So you know if you would even be going or not.
And it's not like you can pull out of events once you know the result that you have, because there's heavy punishments once you're signed on to an event and then pull out. And so it's not like you,
Shit.
And also the age-old question.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you, let's say, do qualify early, do you just take a break until the major, or do you want to play one tournament before the major just so that the major isn't the first official you play after a month and a half?
But the good thing with that sentiment is, let's say that like the teams for the major would probably be determined like a month before at a minimum, I would imagine. So any tournament that happens within that month overlap would not affect your points for the major. Maybe your seeding, but not like your qualification. You'd already had to have been invited. May affect the seeding, but then those points would only start affecting the next season. So then it wouldn't have such a detrimental effect on points, but it might on mood.
Yeah, but I'm just saying more is like what will be
the strategy
better, for you to peak at the major, right? Like, and for me, my opinion would be better off to not play anything before, but then you have to sort of have this, understanding within the team, like what that means and how important practice is during that time. And actually, I'd have to think about that, because practice
think about that for a
no,
second.
because like practice is not as productive as it should be.
Oh,
No, it's never as productive as officials, but it's just like it would involve you having a lot of things that you could not properly test until an official, right?
Sure.
Like you would just believe that this is very strong, and then you would whip it out at the major and do it without really knowing whether it's strong or not. How would the teams react?
You haven't truly been tested on that tactic.
Yeah, and then let's say if you are right, then shit, it can win your game, right? Like straight up. But if you're wrong, like it doesn't have to be as detrimental. And then the other side of that coin is, well, if you do it beforehand, even if it works, now you've shown it.
But isn't it like, so like with my thought about what you're saying here, it kind of feels like the type of Counter-Strike we would have is more like the Blast major. In the sense that we had a lot of teams who were, think about the teams that...
Are you thinking about like the upset angle of the Blast Major? Or are you thinking about just the style of Counter-Strike?
Don't put the names on it, but the type. Like, and I think the reason there were upsets was because of the style. Like, think about Apex. Think about like a lot of their stuff was momentum-based calling. Like, it was just fast. Like, we do this, and we've done it twice, and now they're going to expect this, and we subvert that expectation by making it look like this, but do this, right? Like that type of CS. Because I think you could get away with that more, because it's not going to be as reliant on the puzzle solving nature as much. It's more like, brick through window as opposed to chessboard, right? So maybe that would be, if teams play each other less, then it's less problem solving like that.
I just hope, man, at some point, I don't think it's happening for like next year. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it, but just please no more best of ones at
For
the
majors. I think the majors will still have best of ones, but I'm pretty sure with the ESL events, there won't be anymore.
Would you rather have, if you had to pick between the two, would you rather have best of ones or Swiss?
And no best of ones. I don't care. It can be like,
You'll take Swiss over.
I'll take Swiss best of threes over best of ones.
Jason just died inside.
I did die a little bit inside there. Yeah, that one hurt.
What?
Jason doesn't
I
like
hate
best of
Swiss.
three Swiss because it's best of three Swiss and the best of three Swiss.
You're playing 2 best of 3s.
No, you're playing 2 Swisses. So you're playing potentially 10 best of 3s. Right.
Oh, that,
I mean,
yeah,
you're playing
yeah,
like
yeah,
2 BO3 kind
yeah,
of.
yeah. I feel you. Yeah, I think it's super right, but I think at this point we have to have best of 3s. There's like too much in MR12.
Yanko would
There's
prefer 4-team group GSL.
By the way, I 100%.
actually I'm
100%
moving to
agree.
18 group GSL.
8-team,
Yeah.
like we do here.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that you don't play like
The same.
the same team from your little bracket. You would go down and play the team from the
Still
other.
fine. Same thing,
Yeah.
just a bit more variant.
I agree 100%. I just BO3 Swiss is not good. Not good.
It's
too
not.
many games.
It's not, and it's not. It never was.
There's no excitement curve.
It should have never been a thing, right? Like I'm not gonna get into it again.
no, we
Fuck
don't,
it.
we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, it is a filtering system that is excitement curve is not a curve.
Which kind of sucks when you think about it.
Not great.
Yeah.
Wait, we didn't talk about fucking Furia, bro. Furia's in the playoffs already. Fallen first time since fucking Sao Paulo.
Pro League season 4, 5, 3.
4.
The
Pro
lost
League
to-
season
No,
4.
4 was Dallas.
They lost to
3
Cloud9.
was
They lost to
Brazil.
Cloud9.
Yes,
Yeah.
they lost to Cloud9 in the final.
But
Beat FaZe and beat FaZe and beat Mounts.
But 3 straight playoff appearances for Furia in Rio.
Yes.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Which is great.
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
played
they
good
did have a
CS.
very good run. They did have a very good. I haven't seen any of their games, but they did have a very good run in terms.
I think
of
I
the-
casted the first one.
yeah,
The
me-
second-
yeah,
second
you
one was
did.
B-Stream.
You did. We did the. We were on the same shift.
Yeah. Second one was B-Stream.
Quesarado spanked.
Yeah, man.
Spanked it.
But the thing is, and you said this on the desk, I don't remember your exact verbiage, but the conversation isn't around Quesarado because we expect him to pop off every game.
Mm.
We're talking about the supporting cast having good moments.
Yeah.
So Quesarado drops his 25 kills, but it's, Cello had a good game, or Skulls had some important multis,
Yeah.
or Yuri, was,
Cello was also fucking on point.
he was sharp.
I think a lot of it is if they're going to do anything more than this in this tournament, it's going to come down to how Yuri plays because he's been like not great for the last 2 years, really. I mean, he's been flying under the radar with that because they had Art on the team who's, even more egregious.
His girlfriend's going to be here, so it better be pretty impressive.
We'll be working with her, Jason.
Yeah,
She'll be
exactly.
stage
I know
hosting.
that,
You
yes.
watch your fucking tongue.
Yeah.
I got it out now.
asshole. Show some respect.
Why am I getting yelled at?
Right, I think it's him and a little bit Fallen as well. Like he was really bad
That was
on
some tough games.
in the first half on the T side, like he couldn't hit anything in that FaZe game, and then in the second half they dropped him the op in the second round after someone got like a 4K, and then in the first gun round as well, he just went aggressive up mid with the op, and you loved that. It was like he was still doing, and he had like a 3 or 4K where it was just like classic Fallen ducking and weaving and finding kills and all of that stuff, and he was really pumped. I haven't seen him that pumped, in a super long time. You can see it really meant a lot to him to like get in there because he was here 2 years ago for the show match, right, when it was the major, but now actually to be, and man, I worked that fucking Furia Navi game in at the major. Like that was absolutely insane. It's definitely
That was one of the craziest environments.
that was the craziest
Aaron,
Counter-Strike
you
match.
got a
Craziest Counter-Strike match I've been a part of or that I've actually ever seen. So hoping that, especially with Fallen on the team, right? Like once it gets to the arena and all of that stuff, that it will be packed and we'll get some crazy shit again.
Do you think they beat Navi in the seeding game?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I think Navi's, and the reason, this is another thing when it comes to like, why no one doubts Navi at this point that they're going to get upset or anything like that, right? Because their floor is so high, right? Like they're just so good. They have like all the structure, all the plays, all the ways to punish your aggression when you try to, do something to disrupt their default. The players are so drilled in their roles, right, on all these different maps because of the amount of repetitions. They've been together for such a long time. They're playing with a lot of confidence because they've been winning the last couple of months, right? They've been the best team in the world, really, in the second half of the year, right? And that's what, and then you can see it on the players themselves. Even when the game is going wrong, like the belief is still
They know
there.
they have
Like
options.
they know they can come back from like this, 9-3 down, 10-2 down, whatever it is, as soon as they get rolling a little bit, which is something that you don't see maybe on some of these other teams.
Not last night though. They ESL played that team comm in the middle of that game.
They were flustered, huh?
Yeah, really. Like Alexi was like telling someone to stop bitching. He was like, "No, I told him to do that. Like, stop blaming your teammates." Like, they had some real shit going down yesterday.
I mean,
in the series against Liquid, and that's going to happen with every team. It's not like a
we heard
criticism.
that at Pro League as well in the final against Eternal Fire. It was JL a little bit and Alexi a little bit on Anubis, if you guys remember, right? But
The games you gotta,
still won 13-11.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes it's also a little bit like even Nico today, right? Like he was having a shit game, but it was mostly related to like communication within the team and setting up. Like, you know, you have to sort of call for, you know, for a wake up.
Ilya's help, like you know,
Yeah,
right,
because if you also don't, if no one mentions it, it's just gonna keep happening, right? Like if it's not addressed. So
yeah, like I think like it's without a doubt Na'Vi have the most solid foundation out of everybody here. I think that it's Na'Vi and Vitality, they are clearly the best two teams in the world. I think that like a FaZe or a G2, if they have their best days, they can beat those teams. Right, and maybe Spirit in that conversation as well, but it's been a long time between drinks with Spirit. Mouse have also gone on a bit of a downward slide, so it's hard to put them in that same category. But for FaZe and G2 at the moment, it feels like they're in that conversation still just based off of any given Sunday. But Vitality and Na'Vi are the ones who you would back to make it deep run and playoff, which they both have done. They're both in the playoffs again. So I was just trying to work out the reason I asked, like, do you think like maybe what either of you thought there was a crazy way that Furia beat Na'Vi? But that means Na'Vi's going to be straight into the semi. That means Furia is going to play on the Friday. Probably second game is where I think ESL would put them. And that means they're going to play against the third place team of Group B, which is going to be the winner, which is probably going to be EF.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Ooh, that's
EF.
That's actually a pretty spicy matchup.
Brazil versus Turkey.
Ooh.
Think about the viewership on that.
We had the MABR Eternal Fire semifinal at Pro League.
Yeah.
Now Furia gets a crack.
Yeah. And then, like, if Furia win that, then they would play against the team who's going to top Group B, which is likely to be Vitality.
Yeah.
Because Vitality just have to beat Heroic to get there. So let's say, that side of the bracket I think is very, very hard. I think that's probably with EF and Vitality.
Or even then, if EF beats them, you get a EF Vitality rematch from the quarterfinal.
Which would be cool. Yeah, which would be cool. Especially because Vitality ended up, was it Inferno that they lost that game on against Vitality at Pro League? So EF, was it Inferno?
I don't remember.
I think it was Inferno. It feels like it was Inferno. That was like a crazy game because it was the half wall smoke that they were having a hard time dealing with, and there was all those different things that unfolded there. And then the other side of the bracket would mean it's going to be, I think FaZe beat Mouse.
Looking like it.
And then that means FaZe comes third place.
They played Heroic.
They play Heroic, which
they should own them.
They should, like,
especially on the stage.
Like, that's the thing. I think the upset win for Heroic against G2 was G2 playing bad, but Heroic taking advantage of that, right? And then against Astralis today, Astralis is brand new.
But Heroic has looked better. I think I said it today. I was like, Heroic reminds me a little bit of Na'Vi, right? Like, when Na'Vi was sort of formed, right? Because you have all these players. There's not a clear superstar player, right? Like, yes, Nerds is kind of supposed to be that guy, but it's not really like doing it that way. Yeah. Dexter as well is like good, not great. Like, can take over every now and then. You have Shush and Tesses who are like kind of solid anchors, I guess. Right, and then and then you have like Kixan, right, who's like not a bot IGL, right, and you have a good coach in Saw.
They're killing it over there.
Well, how would you describe Na'Vi? How would you describe Na'Vi a year ago? You know, right? But it's like you feel like the team could be coached to, and like if they can have good, you know, if they are not terrible individually, right? Like if they can live up to their potential,
yes.
Then it can be a team that could be successful, right? At least on paper. So,
but that's the narrative I ran into that G2 game with. Like, is the idea that these pieces like have potential. It's just one of the issues is obviously the practice because of Dexter and not being able to play official games. But that seems like that's been dealt with. At least he can come to Brazil.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, in the Astralis game, it was on the B stream, but I saw there was a lot of like, they were losing some force buys and they're down in the hole and still comfortable 2-0, right? Like, so that's a good sign. But I know Pimp said that Tassis is the best Danish player right now. How does that make you feel, guys?
He played a life game against G2.
Yes.
He played an amazing game.
Yeah, but is he the best Danish player, Chad, right now?
I think Carrigan's the best Danish player right now.
Can't fuck with that. I don't know who I'd put out there, to be honest with you. It wouldn't be Tessa's.
Who would it be?
Who would it
though?
be?
Who would it be?
Because it's tough. Hooksy. Snappy.
Dude, I don't even know.
Magisk.
You could say Magus.
You could, but yeah.
Could say Blame F as well.
You could. Yeah.
Could say Device.
I wouldn't.
You'd be wrong though.
That's the thing. I'm trying to I'm trying to think of like a Danish player that's showing like an elevated over everyone else. Because I think
Zyphon.
every Danish player right
No
now,
10-1 dig.
it feels like they're just kind of
Burfron's Kai.
you know, like they're good, but they're not great, and they're okay with it. You know.
Magisk. Is this the downward slide of Danish CS like Swedish CS?
Yeah, you didn't see the Jason Rogan episode on that, huh?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Danish
Sorry,
country is
man.
going
I
on.
haven't been keeping
Oh.
up with Jason Rogan.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
gone so right-wing and
Yeah,
woke,
it's been a
man,
while
like-
since he's released it.
They didn't
He had-
play
he
the
had-
fucking.
He's really gone off the rails.
Dude,
over
he
there,
had
that shit.
he had T-Ramp on his podcast.
Yeah.
Like, fuck
Yeah.
that guy. Like,
Yeah.
I can't listen to
They
that
never
shit.
played the table tennis one.
Maybe they didn't edit it.
What?
They played portions of it. I saw portions.
Oh, they
of it.
did?
Really?
They played it in like they didn't play the full episode as like a Jason Rogan episode.
Oh, they
but
threw channel
played, like,
switching.
the channel switching, like a small clip.
Okay.
Had me in there doing the fucking ping pong.
I saw only that.
Yeah.
The 3 second thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I saw of it as well.
Oh, it was some really good.
I thought it was good too, man.
Well,
You'll have a talk with them.
They're playing a lot of Pro League content here at the moment, aren't they?
They
Yeah.
are playing a lot of Pro League content. It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Then again, so is Blast. Wait, what?
Ah, dear. Okay, what else have we got in the chamber here?
Astralis' ass. Their T sides are like
I didn't see
super
any of
poor.
their games this event.
I saw
They-
the
they
Eternal
are-
Fire
they are.
game. No, they're in
They
the
are?
lower
They
bracket
beat
against
EF on
VP.
Inferno.
The BTF on Infernal where Zentaris had 1 kill in the first half and then he threw actually the game in the second half too with that round on short. They would have probably come back to win.
Called it fumble of the day.
Yeah, it was the fumble of the day, right?
Sell
But
that to a sponsor.
Yeah. Hey, to Specsavers is who I
We
want
call
to
it
sell to.
no, we'll get Snickers. You're not
Oh, you
you're
know
hungry.
yourself. Yeah.
get a Snickers.
Yeah.
and they had I think 7-5 or 8-4 CT side against Heroic on Mirage and they only won 1 T round in the second half and that was a half buy.
Okay.
So
Well, they're not eliminated yet. I guess we'll see tomorrow if they have any more legs to them going up against everyone's favorite team, VP. Jason, you like VP. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, I love VP. It's great. Is really the Polish really good Counter-Strike country. No, I don't know, man. I have no thoughts.
It used to be.
there used to be a meme.
Used to be Polish.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't even have a good joke about it. I, just,
Yeah.
I don't care about VP. I gave up when I watched them at Pro League, missed like the double doors smoke on Dust 2 like 3 times per map, 2 days in a row.
Yeah,
And I was
well,
just like, I'm out.
So what do you reckon?
And also, it's like you can't like, hey, can I talk? Can we interview one of your guys? No, don't. You can't talk about any of the in-game leader stuff.
Yeah.
Great. I don't
You can
wanna
have
talk
Norbert.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Take Norbert. It's like,
Alright.
no, I would like to talk to Electronic or James and just get a feel for what's going on. No, you can't do that. Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
See you later.
cool. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also don't really give a fuck about VP.
Yeah.
But they will probably try and buy Monacy at the end of the year.
They should.
They'll
Why
try.
would he go there?
I don't know if he would. I'm just saying they will try.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, if I was them, I would try.
I would
Modesty
never
should
go
be
there
doing a
if I'm
fucking
honest.
LeBron James. Like he needs to get the decision going. Like go old school. Just be like, I'm making my decision at 10 p.m. on this day.
Is that what LeBron James did?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make my decision. I'm gonna announce my decision on air. He's like, everyone, I'm coming to all these franchises. You get one pitch. I'm coming in for an hour. Give me your best pitch that you're willing to give me.
That was Jordan
decision.
with the shoe deal, but okay.
No, LeBron did this when he went to Miami, bringing my talents to the South Beach.
Yeah, I mean, just the thing, like 1 offer thing, like 1 hour deal.
That was LeBron as well.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so.
Wow.
All right. Well, anyways, this is what Modesty should do. Tell every org, go to Liquid, go to VP, go to fucking Falcons, and just say,
Show me the money!
present me your fucking best to get me here.
A Jerry Maguire type situation. I think that's the thing. Like, the problem is
Sorry,
Spirit
headphone
don't
users.
need Monacy.
Hmm?
Spirit don't need Monacy. But it would not be nice to see Monacy and Donk play together at some point.
What's your opinion of Shiro right now?
He's fine. Shiro's not the problem over there. The fucking
No,
emo
no, no.
kids of Zontics and Magics are the problem over there.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it was the problem, but I noted. I feel like when I watch Spirit games, I'm like missing a feeling that Shiro's influencing.
What type of
Okay.
Counter-Strike do you think Spirit play? I know that's a very
you're
difficult
fucked now,
question.
Jason.
Yeah, it's a very.
I think it's a
very
bit, I know
vague
that's a
question.
bit. I look at it and I don't think that they play very structured Counter Strike.
No, they don't.
I think they have an
I
idea
think-
that is, if Donk gets the opening kill,
Yeah.
or we go to a site, if Donk get kill, we are good.
I mean, it's kind of a default and wait until we get in a position where we can activate Dawn.
It's just,
I think they also looked better at the beginning of the year than they do now.
Yes.
You know, it's like kind of strange
yeah,
how that happens.
it's like
but
they've regressed.
probably
somehow.
kind of struggling to add on to what they had and to adjust and all of that, and probably just having a little bit less output from some of the other players
I
on the
don't
team.
feel they solve the puzzle like as quickly or the same way as the high level team. Like,
Yeah, the reactions are a little bit delayed at
Yeah.
times.
so it's like I don't know.
I don't know. They're a team where I look at them and I say, if Dawn can't create something, who's the creator on that team?
Well, that's the thing. They have
Tyler.
they have a good rifler. They have a good rifler and a good AWP.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's so weird because I mean, the angle of it being a regression that we can't really explain is great, because I remember out of Katowice and the few events after they won Katowice was just like, look how deep this roster is. Zontix was playing good at the time. Magix was a solid in his role at the time. Chopper's in-game leading was putting good
Well,
T-sense
usually
input,
it's
and now
really
kinda
good
like,
when
what
your
the
team,
fuck?
when your players as rookies don't feel any pressure. So that's not.
Well, and when he's dropping like 1.7 in a tournament at Helly Soaps too.
I was being facetious.
Yeah, I was talking about Zontic saying he doesn't feel any pressure. Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't, yeah.
No, that's all right, man. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, Jason. Don't worry about
Yeah, it's always the same with
That one's
him.
aged well though.
it.
What's up with all those players, Eastern European players saying that? that was
Maybe
the-
they don't understand English.
That was the
What
old
are you trying to say?
That was the old Nathany trick. You know what I'm trying to say. You people.
Man. What do you think about best of 5 final just getting sprung on the Counter-Strike world? Did someone forget to put out a release?
I think so. Well,
ESL usually so
People-
good at putting out those
people
releases.
forgot to tell us until the day before the event.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Do the teams know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess I don't. I think I don't mind it.
I prefer it. It's a good, but I would like a little
think-
bit more
but
lead time.
The only reason I don't. The only reason I would have something against it, the only one I can think of, is essentially just saying there's now nothing differentiating
Ooh,
the championship
yeah.
from the Masters.
I think the same thing. I agree with that statement. I just had a terrible idea how to change it.
Best of 7s.
No. Fucking asshole. Do a different format for these tournament where there's double elimination, so that on the final day you get the lower bracket final and the grand final. It's 2 best of 3s, and on Katowice and Cologne it's best of 5.
I love that.
I don't hate it. The teams wouldn't love it.
Teams wouldn't love it, and I think ESL wouldn't love it from a business perspective.
Why?
Because if you have a double elim
Because the show matches
to-
are so good.
no, but if you have to plan on potentially having a second best of 3 or the
No,
second,
no.
No, there's always
He's
2
not
best of
saying that.
3s.
He's not saying you don't play 2 best of 3s in the series. He's saying you play the lower bracket final and the grand final.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, there's no planning. You'll get your minutes watched.
I'm not
No, I
sure
was
how
thinking
it.
because, no, but because we
We'll
don't
get you
we
your
don't ever do
KPIs.
double elimination brackets properly when we do them.
No. Well, and I don't even know if we would. Like,
And that's why, is because you can't plan around a BO3 that you may or may not.
you could do a BO3 and then a BO5 with the 1 map advantage. But then you're doubly hamstrung.
No,
Team
the
focus
point
on one.
is
you
the-
play
the-
2
the-
best of 3s in one day.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but no. Also, the reason is like you don't want to have a best of 5. You want to save the best of 5 for the championship level events,
But we don't
right?
even have the best of 5 for the major, which is sad.
It is such, but that's what makes Katowice and Cologne stand out.
But now, like, all the Blast events have best of 5 finals.
Yeah, but you can't artificially create like prestige, right? Just because they put the best of 5 doesn't mean like it's just going to be more drawn out. You know, like it's the same thing. Like if you do it here, there's no point in making it like a best of 5 here, right? This event is not big enough to get a best of 5 final. It's not important enough. It's not prestigious enough.
But you got to get your KPIs, Yanko.
I know that's true. That's the problem, right? So how do you do it without making it the best of 5? You do a different format, so you get 2 best of 3s,
You
and
add a-
also
you add a mid-bracket.
And also, legit, the problem is like people pay money to watch the games, like to get into the arena. And what if it's a 2-0 best of 3
Yeah,
final?
no, I
Right? They
appreciate
paid
that.
money for 2 hours
That's
of
why we do
entertainment.
these class show matches.
So we do this ace show.
Yeah, these fucking straight piss.
Man.
That's a meme.
Yeah, it's a throwback to pro.
No, I don't mind that. Like at first thought, obviously, I'd have to go crunch the numbers to look at how many games that would be at the cost of a week or whatever. But I don't hate that idea, to be completely honest with you. What about the Pro League format next season? What do you think they should do there?
Holy shit.
Not what we're doing now. Let's just say that much.
Definitely not what we're doing now. We should never have more than a double elimination system,
Yes.
right? Like just two.
Well, Swiss is triple
It's
elimination.
32 teams?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
okay.
You know?
24 teams, 32 teams?
I don't know. Jason ESL have said nothing about next year yet.
Yeah.
I know. I don't think this is a conversation for right now.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
I was actually
I
really
made an
excited.
executive decision.
I was really
So shut
pumped to
your
talk
fucking
about
mouth,
farmers
Chad.
For the first time.
Yeah, he was about to take a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just has his own little.
the boys away from the kids, you know?
Yeah.
I was handed this free bottle of alcohol last night.
Can't say
Really?
No.
How
Can't
does
say no
that
to
work?
free.
What's that?
You can't say no to free.
I can't say no to free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fair enough.
Yeah. And it was, by a close friend. So I wanted to, let him know I'm drinking his whiskey.
Okay.
Well, it's your whiskey.
Well, it's
But
my
he
whiskey.
gave it to you. Yeah.
What else is going on? I don't have my phone on me. I can't even look up what the headlines are going on. I got nothing.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Is there anything else going on in Counter-Strike these days? What else?
There's
have we got?
always things going on
What
in
else have we
Counter-Strike.
Oh, that sounds ominous, Chad.
Well, there is. It's the game that
You
never
want to
ends.
hear the dumbest thing?
Yes.
I've been here all night, so I think I've been spewing plenty of that. What's the dumbest thing?
Voxic.
Huh?
After Left Hand came back, I regained my confidence.
No. You brought that up during the cast.
Yeah.
That can't be fucking real.
Of course it did.
You can't
I need
be
to see
fucking
the
real.
full fucking sentence. Surely this is like
Bro,
out of
you cannot
context.
tell me that left-handed model fucking changed your life to this degree.
Well, he's a left-handed player.
Yeah, but he didn't even say that when he lowered his sensitivity. Like, come on, give some credit where it's due. I lowered my sensitivity. I'm no longer flinging my mouse around.
We
like a
all know
psychopath.
Counter-Strike's a mental game, Jason.
That's fucking crazy to me.
Jason, have you ever considered just doing the mustache?
No,
Would you consider it?
no.
Why?
Well, just aesthetically speaking, I don't think a bald man can pull off just a mustache. all
You
that well.
can.
But two, also, the first time we did the Movember stuff down, oddly enough, in Sao Paulo,
Yeah.
I did have a mustache for that event.
How was that?
I just remember showing up to breakfast the next day, sat down next to Henry, and he looked up from his eggs and just started laughing. I went to E-League the next week, and the
You had to get rid of
the
it.
talent manager.
that's why you didn't keep
He
it.
goes, you cannot go on television looking like that.
Yeah, America hates charity. Not surprised there.
No. He would have let me keep it if I wanted, but it was just like at that point. Again, it's like the sandals. Confidence is shot.
Corporate America
Yeah,
got the
can't
better
have
of you, Jason. Yanko, what's it saying? You were giggling.
No, he's legit. Like he's asking, oh yeah, there's been talks about your game improving, but view model change and everything. Of course, it has changed everything because I have been playing for a really, really long time with left hand. When the game updated, it was a completely different game for me. I understand some players are just changing left and right. You cannot do it in CS2 because movement is not the same like in CSGO. But for me, just playing in the same settings, I'm always doing the same settings for my mouse, crosshair, in-game resolution. Everything is the same. When one thing is changing, it is completely mentally affecting me. Now, after the left hand came back, I have been showing really good performances, and also I got my confidence back because when I was playing with right hand, which is not good for me, I was not killing the people who I need to kill. That's why you're losing your confidence and stepping down from the game. But now when I'm peeking somewhere or going somewhere, I'm thinking, I will kill him, This is the kind of mentality I have. Also with the boys in the team helping each other, helping me, it is because of that, the teamwork, everyone's performance went up.
Let's go lefties.
That's some weak ass bullshit.
Come on, man. He's playing well. You going to argue with facts?
Yeah, because he was playing with left hand in CSGO and we didn't get this level of Woxic.
Yeah, but
I did
that's
for a little bit.
Yeah.
The mouse days, yeah.
But then he
Great. Of his how long a career? Like,
that was 2019, Jason.
yeah.
Well, he's doing it again now in 2020.
I know, I'm just saying.
Why are you hating on Turkish CS,
You hate
man?
everybody, Jason.
Why do you hate on Turkish CS, man? They're doing great.
He hates
How can
Liquid.
Major every time. He thanks
His kids.
his kids and everything, right? Like
Yeah,
you have kids, show some sympathy.
just one, but yeah.
You never say at the end. You never say at the end of the cast, "Hey, baby." When you sign off, here is vitality, lifting the trophy.
Love you, Jade.
Love you, Jade. Adrian.
I think my
no.
wife watches Counter-Strike 10 years into the relationship.
She better.
8 years into the relationship.
It's paying the bills.
She was a player, no?
She was a player, yeah.
Yeah. Guys, we can shut it down if we got nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, it sounds like we have nothing else to talk about, to be honest with you right now.
Like, we could talk about non-Counter-Strike related things, but people don't like it when we
Like
do
what? Oh, it's at the end of the episode. They won't hear it till the very end.
that.
What have you got? Give me one.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
They go more for you if you're O negative. If you're
Yes.
O blood type,
I think I'm A something, A whatever.
you should really know that, in case you get hit by a car and they need to like transfuse you, and you're in a foreign country, they don't have your records. You need to know which blood
probably a
type.
lot
you
of things I should know.
I think my blood type's on my driver's license,
That's nice.
which I don't have on.
The only good thing about mosquitoes is the Jurassic Park film where it's in like the ember or whatever it is,
amber, yeah.
and then they obviously extract the blood from the mosquito to be able to create the dinosaurs. That's the only good thing about mosquitoes. Other than that, they're just little cunts.
And that's not even possible. So
How do you know?
Why is
You're
he
not a
ruining
science-
everything?
You're not a science guy. That's how I know.
Call back.
What else happened? Freya didn't have a voice for the first 2 days?
I appreciate that she championed onto some interviews on day one.
Yeah.
I thought her voice sounded great.
Yeah.
thought it was
a bit gruff, it wasn't.
Just like after a night out
Just some karaoke.
for the first couple of hours.
Freya was doing cosplay of a baby on the plane on the way here, so she just pretended to cry the whole time. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how she lost her voice.
Makes
That's not
sense.
what happened at all.
Yeah, it sounds.
What else? We obviously flew here.
We did fly.
We got one more day of competition in the group stage. On Thursday is going to be media day. The competition for the playoff starts on Friday. That's about it. I'm going to fly home Sunday night.
Flying home Monday afternoon.
No, you won't.
I changed my flight.
You did.
Uh-huh.
You went for it.
You madman.
I didn't pay the 1.1k.
Ah,
I got Kinga to ask Travel. Travel were able to find like a route where I still have like the class I'm flying in, but I have an extra layover. But
why have you done that?
well, instead of getting home
get
on
home, like,
Tuesday
18
night
hours
at
early or
midnight,
something?
I get home Tuesday morning at 1 a.m. So I save almost 24 hours.
Sure. I guess, whatever makes you happy, Chad.
Nothing makes me.
Nothing. Yeah.
We're still
That's I
searching-
set
we're still
myself.
searching for that
I set myself up with that
one.
one. Yeah.
Oh, are we done?
We're done.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.